Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Cassie Villela, and I'm a realtor, property manager, and investor here in San Antonio, Texas. On this channel, we talk about all things real estate, from data and investing to home and garden. So if that's your cup of tea, then like, subscribe, follow, all the things. So today we're doing step 4 of my video series on how to buy a home. This series is geared towards first-time home buyers, new to Texas home buyers, or just it's been a while and you want to refresh your course. So I hope it's helpful. Please watch steps 1, 2, 3 before you watch this one. And that way you kind of are following the steps in order. But today, step 4 is going to be talking about making the offer. So we found the one. We're so excited. What I do, if we're in a showing and my clients are like, yes, this is the one, we want it. I say, okay, we're going to go home. I go straight home and I'm going to provide them some comparable sales. Comparable sales are homes in the same neighborhood or area that are pretty similar to the home that your clients are buying. Comparable sales are usually around the same size, around the same style or finishes, and built around the same year. And then, of course, most importantly, in the same area. So what I do for my clients, and what I would suggest asking your agent to do, is I basically go into the MLS and I search every home that has sold in that particular neighborhood in the last 6 months. And I send all of them. The reason I do that is because I really value transparency and openness, and I want the buyers to have a complete and full picture of the neighborhood. It is really easy to go in and only select the houses that support the list price. And so what I want to do is I want you to know all the information of the whole neighborhood. I want you to know about that one house that's sold for way under asking price. I want you to know about this one outlier over here that maybe had a foundation problem, whatever. I want you to know all of them. And then I highlight the 3 or 4 that are the most similar to the home you're looking at. The ones that are the same size, that have the same type of, that are 2 stories or whatnot. The ones that are the most similar are going to be the ones you want to pay the most attention to. So you sit down, you say, okay, here's list price. Completely block from your mind whatever the list price is, because sellers can just you just list it, whatever you want, right? And so sellers can sometimes be very pie in the sky, just completely unreasonable. Some people really fixate on the list price and feel like, okay, if I can get it under list price, I'm getting a deal, or if I have to pay over, I'm getting, scammed. That's not the case. The house is worth whatever it's worth, right? Whatever the appraisal comes back at, that's what the house is worth. The list price doesn't really matter. You could get it for over list price and then it still appraises higher than you paid for it. I actually just had that happen a few months ago. My client paid well over list price and then the appraisal came back even higher. So list price is just a number. Look at the comparable sales and then decide what you think you want to pay for this home. I am not suggesting that this be an only numerical decision, okay? I recognize that buying a home is an emotional process as well. And I personally have paid over list price and over what I thought the house was worth just because I really like the house, okay? So that is fair. That is fair. If paying an extra $1,000 is the difference between getting this house you love and not, I think at the end of the day, most of us would say it's worth it to get the home you really, really love. I think that picking the price is kind of this combination between the logical mind and the emotional mind, right? So we're looking for the wise mind answer, right? We want the price that is going to make the most sense to you, okay? If that's near list price, then I would just say, yeah, list price or a little bit above list price is going to be competitive. But decide, use the numbers to decide kind of the range that would be fair, and then use your emotions to decide which where on that range you think you want to offer. So if you love a home, if this is the range, maybe you pick the highest price of that range. And if you're just kind of like, maybe you pick a lower end of that range. That's how I look at it. You can tell I think about these things way, way too much. But I'm just trying to help because to me, the most stressful part of the entire transaction is choosing the price. Choosing the price you're going to offer. It is so stressful. It never gets easier. Like, it's always hard. And so I'm just trying to give you some tips that might make that a little bit easier, hopefully. We're going to go over all of the different things that you need to, all of the information that your agent needs to make an offer on your behalf. Now, in Texas, we have promulgated forms that all agents have to use. Now, promulgated is just a fancy word for like, we all use the same forms. That's it. Unless you are a real estate attorney or maybe an investor, you are going to use the 1 to 4 family residential contract in most cases, okay? If you want a really solid like breakdown of that contract, it's a really long contract. If you want a full breakdown and like deep dive into it, I have another video on my channel that specifically goes over each piece. And so I'll link that below. The language of the contract is what it is. Everybody has the same contract. It's just that there are blanks on the contract where your agent puts numbers in, and that's it. We're going to go over today the major ones. I mean, there's dozens of blanks, right? And a lot of them are minor things that really don't change contract to contract. There's kind of a standard for the area, and that's what you do. But I'm going to go over the 6 major ones that your agent really needs in order to make an offer on your behalf. So we've already talked about price. Obviously, that's number 1. That's the big one. So once you decide on a price, you've done like most of the work. So then price is number 1. Number 2 is the option fee and the option period. Now, we talked a little bit about this in step 3. The option period is that due diligence period. That's when you do your inspections. That's when you look into the HOA. That's when you do all the things to make sure, yes, this home is solid. Yes, this is the home I want to buy. In other states, I know that they have like inspection contingencies. Texas does not have an inspection contingency. Basically, Texas does all of the contingencies in the option period. So you're supposed to do all of it in that period. Now, the nice thing about that is that you can back out. You don't even give a reason. You just say, I'm exercising my option. Bye. So that's kind of nice. You don't have to like have a reason. You don't have to find a particular thing wrong. You can just back out. But it does limit, that option period is very, very important. So a lot of home buyers want a 10-day option period. That was standard in San Antonio for a long time. But again, the market is so competitive that nowadays people are doing shorter and shorter option periods. I would say the max I would do in order to be competitive would be 7 days at this point. And it used to be about $10 a day. It was common, but I would even bump that up to at least $20 a day, if not more. I even have a lot of clients that will do a 5-day option for $250, which is a significant bump from $10 a day. So it looks really nice to the sellers, but really we're talking about $150 difference maybe. So, it's a easy way to get like a big bang for your buck in the negotiations, in my opinion. One caveat, if you're going to do a 5-day option period, I always call my inspector that I usually use and make sure he has availability in the next 5 days in case we go under contract, and kind of get him not scheduled, but just make sure that he's going to be able to get in, because the danger with a 5-day option would be not being able to find an inspector in such a short notice. So whoever you want your inspector to be, I would kind of make sure that they're not on vacation or something like that in order to do your 5-day option. So option fee period, that's your second blank to fill in. Your third is going to be the earnest money, which we talked about again in step 3. It's usually 1% of the purchase price. One thing to keep in mind, this amount is not just paid to the seller and forgotten about. This is actually going towards the purchase of the home. So, if everything goes through, you get this money, you don't get it back, but it like goes towards your purchase. It goes toward your down payment or your closing cost, right? So if everything goes fine, you're just paying earlier rather than later. So most people put 1%. I have seen people putting more and more just to make their offer more competitive, but that is a risk because if something falls apart later on in the contract, you lose that money. So just be aware. That's one that I usually don't recommend somebody going above 1% on the earnest money. I really don't. The exceptions are when it's like an investor and they're paying cash or something and they're really certain, they've done this a lot. Then I'm like, yeah, you know what you're doing. It's fine. But if you're, a regular home buyer, I probably would not go above 1% or go significantly above that in the earnest money category. The fourth is going to be the closing costs. So towards the end of the contract, there is a blank where you can ask the seller to cover some of your closing costs. Closing costs for a buyer are going to be mostly lender costs. So the cost of the appraisal, the cost of the loan underwriting, different like credit scores and processing fees and things like that. The title company has some closing costs. They usually work out to 2 to 3% of the purchase price. So it's a pretty big amount, all things considered. In the past, it was pretty common, especially for buyers who are doing like a smaller down payment, who don't have a ton of cash on hand, to ask maybe to go up on the price a little bit and then ask the seller to cover some closing costs. And what that does is allows you as the buyer to bring less cash to closing, but the seller gets the same amount of money. So that used to be a pretty common thing. Here in the last year, because the market has been so hot, asking the seller to cover closing costs, even if you raise the price, makes your offer a lot less attractive. So I have been recommending to buyers, we should not do that if you want to get something under contract. The reason is, from the seller's point of view, the market's going up faster than the comparable sales can keep track. So we have had this problem of appraisals coming in much lower than the sales price. And so most sellers are very worried about that. And so if the appraisal comes in low and they have to lower the price, and then you also have closing costs, that takes money out of their pocket. So that's why sellers are not really wanting to cover closing costs at this moment in the market. So that's one section where the closing costs come up. Another section is up near the top, the title insurance policy. Traditionally, the seller always paid the title policy, or in most cases, paid the title policy. This is usually like $1,000 to $3,000 depending on the price of the home. That was just kind of a given that the seller was going to pay that. But now a lot of buyers, again, because of that appraisal problem, which I do have a video about, because of that appraisal problem, a lot of buyers are offering to pay the title insurance to make their offer more attractive. Now, I think it's a great idea to make your offer more attractive. If you're going to do that, just do your math. Make sure you know what your closing costs are going to be, what your down payment needs to be, and what the title policy is going to cost, and make sure you have that much money to go into closing with, because that does start to add up pretty quickly. After that, we did price, option fee, earnest money, closing costs. After that, we have the closing date. Yes, the closing date does, your schedule comes into account. Like if you're not moving for a couple months from another state, then you might want to put it further out, or if your lease is up, you might want it sooner. Yes, your schedule comes into account here, but mainly the person who chooses the closing date is going to be your mortgage broker. Mortgage companies are really slammed right now. Lots of people refinancing, lots of people buying homes, and so they are behind. A lot of the mortgage brokers are behind on processing. Appraisers are way behind. It takes a really long time to get an appraisal right now. So talk to your mortgage broker and ask, how long is it? Is it 30 days? Is it 45 days? Is it 60 days? Find out from them right at the beginning how long closing is going to take. Choosing the closing date is kind of this delicate balance between, you definitely want it to be as soon as possible, because it's usually, in most cases, the seller wants it the sooner the better. But then you also want to make sure that you give your lender enough time. So you're kind of trying to do it as quickly as possible, but make sure you ask your lender for their input, because the worst thing that you could do is put it way too soon and then your lender's not ready and you can't close. So definitely take that into account. A good listing agent will know that closings are taking longer, but just be aware of that. And then last, number 6 is the survey. Even if you're doing a cash buy, I would recommend having a survey. It's good because it tells you where your boundary lines are on your property, and it tells you where your easements are, anything like that. So it's a really good thing to have. Usually, if a seller purchased the home within the last decade or so, a lot of times they'll still have the survey from when they purchased, and you are allowed to reuse that survey in a lot of cases. Not every case. Ask your lender, but if they have a survey and your lender is okay with it, then you just use that survey and it's awesome. Everybody's happy. Times where you cannot use the same survey would be if it's really old, or if the seller has made changes to the house. Like if they added on a room, you got a new survey. Like it's just part of it. So your lender might want a new survey. A lot of times, like the seller won't have a survey at all. And so then it's a negotiation. Who's going to pay for the survey, the buyer or the seller? And in a seller's market, usually it's going to be the buyer. A survey costs between $400 to $600. So it's not like a huge ticket item, but it adds up. So just kind of be aware of the survey and what's going on with that. Those are the 6 major pieces, in my opinion, that you can really use to either strengthen your offer or just things that your agent needs to know before you submit the offer. I always, as an agent, we talked about like, okay, we're at a showing, the buyers love it, time to go home, get the comps. I usually call or text the listing agent before I even get home and say, hey, I'm writing an offer. Is there anything in particular that your sellers care about more than other things? Like some sellers might want a lease back, which is where you go ahead and close and then you let them live in the house for an extra week while they close on their new house or something like that. There might be things you can do that make your offer more attractive to that particular seller. So you want to kind of find out from the agent what they really want, because, that's what they're going to go for. So I would have your agent reach out and just find out, okay, what do you guys really want? We're really flexible. We really love it. So let's work together. Let's get this deal done. And that really goes a long way. So once you send all of these items to your agent, say this is the price, earnest money, etc., then your agent will fill out the contract. Most agents at this point will send it to you to be digitally signed, like through DocuSign or something like that. So all you have to do is click a button. You also, either you or your agent needs to reach out to the mortgage broker to get that pre-approval letter or pre-qualification letter. That's really important. And so then you're going to send all of that to the seller to make your offer. One more thing that I'll talk about, but my thoughts on it are kind of changing. I always used to do like a letter to the sellers from my buyers. Like I'd say like, hey, write a letter about how much you like the house. I think that they have worked in the past. Like I think that it's a really good strategy. However, I have seen lately some legal challenges to the letters because the Fair Housing Act means that you cannot discriminate based on race, religion, age, gender, things like that. And so there's some question to, like, if you write the letter and you say some of those things about yourself, you may be kind of inadvertently breaking a law. So I have seen that some agents have stopped doing that. Be aware of that. If you want to write a letter, talk that over with your agent, research it, see if that's something you really want to do. Definitely it helps make your offer more attractive to the seller, but if it's breaking a law, you obviously don't want to do that either. So I'm kind of like in a gray area on that right now, kind of changing my view on that. So anyway, some agents might ask you to write a letter and some might not want you to write a letter. Talk to your agent, see what they prefer. If you are an agent, or if you have any other questions about this part of the process, make sure you comment down below. I love to answer questions. Even if you're not my client, I'm happy to just answer questions. And if you want to look at that contract more in depth, I will again link that video that is more in depth in the comments below or in my description below. So I hope this was helpful. Tune in for step 5 coming soon.